because they're such easy targets. There's nothing better than a criminal who won't fight back, and we never fight back. That's our big problem. There's 5 million of us. We're one of the largest minorities in Canada. We've been oppressed for 45 years. We've been criminalized by 2 million of us have been criminalized, and we still just sit down and kiss their ass. We really do. At any other time in history, we'd have just all taken a pound revolt, burned down the parliament, hung everybody responsible for the prohibition, and then gone back to our lives in freedom. That's what, in my opinion, a civilized people get done in ages past. If you're going to round up 2 million of us, and you're going to put us in jail, and you're going to take away our kids and take away our home and work. I mean, if you're a rapist, by the way, if you're raping and lose your house. If you grow weed in your house, you lose your house. What the fuck is up with that? You're a rapist, you're going to be a homicidal maniac, you're going to lose your own kids, you're not going to lose your house, you're going to lose your car, you're going to lose fuck all. You'll probably go to jail, I certainly hope so, but it's very unique that it's only us that can lose your kids, can lose your job, can lose your home, can lose everything, lose your reputation. Published in the paper, ooh, he's growing marijuana trafficking, you know, it makes it sound so sinister. It's in many places they put signs on their front lawn when they're busting you. Well, they haven't been convicted of anything yet. It's just, this was a drug house. And now you're going to get evicted, and it'll be hard for you to buy property or even rent in that town from you. I mean, imagine if you got busted in Lethbridge and someone put a sign on your lawn that says, this is a drug house, because you're growing marijuana, I got to figure you're moving. You're leaving that. You know, you can't even stay around. Not only do you risk losing your kids and your house and your car and all your property and your money, stocks and bonds, whatever business you might own. Again, the Mr. Rapist person doesn't lose any of that, right? Because he didn't make money raping. The theory is, oh, you made money, you've got to lose everything, right? You made money, like, oh, excuse me, we live in a capitalist society, I must have overlooked something, right? You know. But anyway, marijuana, fabulous thing. Great for you, incredible benefits that we can see everywhere. Obviously, you can read about them. It's in the paper every day. Some new discovery that says marijuana is great for memory retention, which it is. It's great to fight cancer. It's great for chemotherapy. You know, it fights schizophrenia, or occasionally even when it causes schizophrenia. I'm going, well, really? I don't really run into a lot of schizophrenia. You know, I've been smoking for 30 years, every day, big, huge amount. I don't think anybody can smoke more than me, maybe 15,000 bong hits, 10,000, 12,000 joints. I don't know. I mean, if anything bad were going to happen, it would strike me dead right now. Because 30 years, come on. I was smoking 2 packs a day of cigarettes for 30 years. I'd fucking look like some wheezing, dying, ready to keel over a person, right? But I'm 51 years old. I'm really, really healthy. I'm really happy. I've always loved my life. I don't get depressed. There's too much to be done. It's so much fun. There's too many Nazis to asses to kick in this country. No one should ever be bored in this country because we're surrounded by tyrants who want to tell us how to live, take away our kids, take away our medicine, take away our marijuana, all because they're bigoted sons of bitches who are angry and hateful. That's it. Our enemies, our prohibitionists, are angry, hateful, they're vindictive, they're rotten. Anybody who puts someone in jail for a peaceful, honest lifestyle choice, which is what marijuana is a vile, rotten person. You can say that. One day you should have the courage to look at a few prohibitionists in the face and yell, you are so hateful, you're so angry, you disgust me. You're unworthy to even be on this planet as a human being. They are. No one has a right to advocate that someone else that is there for a peaceful, honest life. No one has a right to say a Duke of War should go to jail because they're pacifists. And in this country, you know, the RCMP, I should bring this up in Alberta, because, you know, most of Eastern Canada doesn't have the same history of the RCMP we have here. The RCMP was formed to kick the asses of everybody who wasn't a white Anglophilic Christian. If you were British and spoke English and were white, then the RCMP was made to make sure you dominated this country for eternity. The RCMP in the past 70 years has basically put their boots to Germans, Russians, Italians, French, Métis, natives, Doukhobors, Hutterites. Every single minority that exists out west has had their ass kicked by the RCMP at some time. The RCMP is a standing army, an occupation force that was formed deliberately to suppress dissent in the west. In the eastern part of Canada, we had the Dominion Police, and they only emerged in the mid-40s with the RCMP to become the dominant police. So, and Ontario and Quebec have their own police systems, so they don't have the experience with the RCMP that we have out west. The RCMP have always been trained to go after socialists, trade union workers, anarchists, Germans, Russians, people of all ethnic backgrounds, natives, Métis. Their job was basically to oppress us. And now, because it's uncool to oppress people if they're Jewish or Hutterite or Doukhobor, they oppress the people they can. For a while they were doing horrible things to, you know, the French Canadians in Quebec during the 1970s. bombings, impersonations, subversions of the legitimate political process. And then later on they worked on homosexuals in the 60s and 70s, trying to subvert them. And the only people left who have a political agenda that is unfulfilled, who are clearly persecuted, who've been victimized for 45 years, who have a legitimate claim to compensation for all that's happened to us, is the pot people. And that's why we have a record number of arrests in this country. Even though we've had 45 years of prohibition that doesn't work, that creates violence everywhere in the world, that causes our young people to join drug gangs because the profits and the money is just irresistible. What 18-year-old could possibly resist when, you know how young people are with their running shoes and their coats and their jackets? And let's face it, everybody who has drugs, who's a drug dealer, has girls. They all have girls. But every drug dealer you ever meet has got women. And when other young people see that, man, he's got girls, he's got women, he's got drugs, he's got clothes, he's got a car or a motorcycle, he's living large. I'm working at McDonald's making $8 an hour. Like, what's fun about that, they're going to say. And it's true. So we have tens of thousands of young people being lured into a world of big riches and danger. Big danger. Because where there's big illegal money, there's going to be violence, and there's going to be police, and there's going to be the prospect of jail, and there's going to be all sorts of bad things that prohibition causes. And you got to ask yourself, well, politicians must know this. Politicians must know prohibition doesn't work. Even though they just passed a mandatory minimum jailing law that will increase the prisons substantially in the next couple of years, that will cause more punishment, that will have bad gangs getting more and more recruits in the jails than ever before. And it's like the government almost knows that everything will get worse because the science is there. The science is there. Bob Nicholson, the Justice Minister, did not have a single study to show that mandatory minimums have achieved any legitimate social purpose. He just said the Canadian people are with us on this legislation. He couldn't find a single scientific study to validate a mass roundup of young people as if somehow that's going to reduce crime. It will increase crime. It will manufacture crime. It will guarantee there's going to be more crime next year. Because what happens when Bill C-15 kicks in is the price of marijuana, because of the risk, will go up another 50%. Instead of $200 an ounce, your marijuana in about 18 months is going to be $300 an ounce. And the higher the price of any drug goes up, the more people want to kill, fight, and do bad things to occupy that market. Because they're not in the legal realm of things, they're in the illegal realm of things. And every time you arrest a drug dealer, two people fight over the turf for that one drug dealer. There's always someone to step up. Sometimes people say, well, why don't we just legalize murder then? Why don't we just legalize rape? Well, the reason being is because drug dealing is a crime of profit. But no one is stepping up to replace a rapist that is arrested. You rape a rapist, people, everybody claps. Nobody's cheering. Nobody wants his job. If somebody's caught committing a murder, nobody says, okay, I want to be missing, I want to be the next, I'm going to fight over the next murder. No, that doesn't happen in any other realm except drugs, because people are fighting over money. It's not even about drugs. They're not taking drugs, they are a conduit for the drug. The drugs are being sold to people who want to buy drugs. And it's true, Chris Rock once joked, you don't have to sell drugs. Drugs sell themselves, right? Most times, you never really say, hey man, there's so much weed in town, people can't give it away. No, I've never heard it, never heard it in my life. It's usually, God damn it, I cannot find any good stuff anywhere in a country that is world famous for growing heaps and heaps of weed. Most people still can't find good stuff. That means the demand is staggering, bigger than even the establishments willing to. I always say there's about 5 million people in Canada that regularly smoke marijuana, but it might be high as 7 or 8 million. And think about that. In British Columbia, 62% of all people want to legalize marijuana. 52% of the entire country wants to legalize marijuana. If we had any kind of functioning democracy, marijuana would already be legal, but we don't have a functioning democracy. We have the Conservative Party of Canada under Stephen Harper. And that is a joke. Stephen Harper, by the way, is a complete traitor to what he believes in. And managed to resign. Anybody who is an economist like he was, who preached free markets for the National Citizens Coalition all those years, and has a $50 billion debt, in 1 year alone, with a prospect of up to $200 billion, those are unprecedented numbers. We have never gone into such a radical debt position as we are right now, and it's all his fault. It's his government. He's totally in charge. It'd be different if the NDP. The NDP is supposed to be socialist. They're supposed to be bad with money. These are the guys who tell you they're the good managers. They're the smart accountants. Hey, I've got a degree in economics, so Stephen Harper, I know what I'm doing. No, you fucking don't. You're a dick. You're just a controlling, tyrannical dick. And furthermore, he doesn't care about your financial conservatism. He doesn't care about going into debt. He doesn't care about burdening you and the next generation with fabulous new taxes are going to be required to pay that debt. He doesn't care. Normally, conservatives tell you they're all about free enterprise and responsible government and so on. No, he's willing to throw that all aside for this social conservative element. The part that says, you know, Stephen Harper's like the same kind of lying sack of shit that 40 years ago would have put a bumper sticker on his car that said, kill a queer for Christ. He's the same guy that you heard 30 years ago warning you about the Packies that were moving into the neighborhood. We gotta stop the Packies from moving into the neighborhood, right? The same lazy sacks of shit that used to say that kind of stuff are the same kind of people that say we should put the pot people in jail. They're the kind of worthless people that you wonder, how did you get a citizenship with such a hateful, arrogant, obnoxious point of view? How did you even get power? I'll tell you how to get power, because you appeal to all the other people with hateful, obnoxious points of view, and if you get it together, you get the most angry, vicious mob, and hell, they have their own grandmother hanged if they could be worked out. You're such a phone. Lying like that. The Harper government lies from beginning to end about the war on drugs. Everything they are proposing in legislation will make everything worse. It will make our children more vulnerable to going to jail. It will draw them further into gangs. It will cause more of us who buy drugs to spend more of our personal treasure to gangs to get these drugs, because the government refuses to allow us to buy them legally. It refuses to allow us to buy them safely. It refuses to let us buy them in a taxed and regulated legal environment, ultimately run by the government. Instead, these politicians who support prohibition are the leading backers of organized crime. It's so obvious. I don't even know. You don't have to join that many dots. Let's see. Without prohibition, the gangs would evaporate, money would dry up, crime would disappear, our kids wouldn't be lured into drug gangs, everything would be labeled and qualified and sold at tax and regulated places. I mean, what's not to like? That's exactly how a rational, sane system would work. So, of course, we have the exact opposite, where nothing is sane, nothing is rational, nothing works, everything is worse next year than it was the year before, and we have the conservative liberal governments to thank for it because they are virtually identical. They ignore democracy, they ignore the will of the people, they don't care about sending us to jail, they're cruel sadists, and we should fuck them over at the ballot box next time with all senior opportunities. Now, I'll get to something more pleasant, which is all the wonderful people.
This is pleasant.
By the way, the people, not only the people owe us, the tax-paying public owes us. Every person who is a prohibitionist, who's ever advocated war, they owe us plenty. They owe money to everybody who ever went to jail for this sick fucking war. They owe us our kids back. They owe us our house back. They owe us our car back. They owe us our dignity back. They owe us a lot. And most of all, they owe us an apology for having a pogrom against us when they knew it was perfectly futile, that it didn't accomplish anything good, that it drained the treasury of this country and put people in jail and hurt millions of people and their families for no reason whatsoever. No reason whatsoever. So they owe us a lot, they have a lot to pay for. But let me give you the reverse. Not only do they have a lot to owe us for how they've treated us, they have a lot to owe us for how we've been treating them so well. For example, everything that's of value in this day and age is done by a top person. Everything you take for granted is wonderful as a top person. Steve Jobs, total stoner, with Paul Allen, who's still a stoner, invented Apple computers. So if you're walking around with a laptop and an iBook and a ThinkPad, you can thank the stoners for making that happen. Bill Gates, that guy when you see his pictures around, was he a stoner? He looks like a stoner. His eyes are all red. They're all slanty. He was a total stoner. And if you ever use a Microsoft operating system, you owe it to stoners everywhere. That thank goodness Bill Gates was smoking weed. And if you ever watch CNN, and I know we all do, Ted Turner smokes a big chomper every day and has for the last 30 years. And by the way, I'm going to point out the people who are smoking marijuana are not just ordinary establishment hacks. These are the people who are in charge of CBS, I'm talking about, or NBC, or all the corporate media, I'm not talking about famous accountants here. I'm talking about people who changed the world we live in. CNN changed the world we live in. All right, Steve Jobs changed the world we live in. Bill Gates changed the world we live in. Moses Nyman smokes a big bomber every day and much music. That changed the world we lived in Canada. Carl Sagan changed the world we live in. That man developed all 7 of his scientific theories that are held in highest esteem while in the shower after smoking bong hits and joints, and he'd play on the shower with all the different formulas. His wife admits this and tells it. Carl Sagan, a scientist, the man in charge of Canada's space program. And you probably think we have a space program. Yes, we do have a space program. It's called the MOST Project. It's actually the measuring of stars and their vibration and their age and the light they're giving off. And it's Jamie Matthews in charge of our space program, the MOST Project. And he's a big hash head. Right now, the reason I know a lot of this is because I spoke with lots of them. And people all over the world get in touch with me. I meet all sorts of famous people, musicians of every kind. I mean, here's a fun thing to do. You get somebody who doesn't like marijuana or is in favor of prohibition. Now, you can do my thing, which is just say you're an idiot. But you could try and convince him and say, really, you're against marijuana, eh? So can we go look at your record collection? Let's go look at your record. He's probably old enough that he has a record collection, if he's a prohibitionist. You're probably